All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're so excited. So we're going to have some people, I think, trickling in here for the next few minutes. But I wanted to start. So my name is Kim. I run operations at Arrows. Arrows is we're a tool that's built for HubSpot, and this is going to come into play later, but we're a tool that's built for HubSpot. We build sales rooms and customer onboarding plans for teams that run on HubSpot. And I wanted to just give a quick background, and then I'm going to have Jacob introduce himself. But I think I discovered Relay, I want to say in like January this year. I don't know if it was like blowing up on LinkedIn around that time, but I found it. Myself and our CEO, Daniel, were playing around with it for a little bit. We will have a recording, everyone, and I'll send it out to everyone afterward. But I was playing around with Relay, and I was like, this is so cool. I think you had some like demo templates for HubSpot use cases. And since all of our customers run on HubSpot, I was like, this is such a cool thing to show our audience. Like a lot of our customers and audience would love setting up some of these AI agents based on HubSpot data. So we emailed and eventually made it happen. So I'm really, really excited to finally be able to share this with our audience.
Yeah, awesome. So, and I might introduce myself again once we get, if a few more people trickle in, but I'm Jacob. I'm the founder of Relay.app. And I'm a longtime AI enthusiast. And I've done a few of these sessions. This is the first time Kim and I are doing one together. But we try to take a real use case and build it live for real. This is not going to be like a lean back and watch the perfectly polished slides or a presentation. We're going to try to actually build something real in the next 45 minutes, and you should build it along with us. And that's the best way to kind of see the ins and outs of how do you build an AI workflow? When do you need an agent? When is a workflow appropriate? How do you overcome issues that come up? How do you access data from tools like HubSpot? How do you send messages in Slack? And so I hope it's a really valuable session for everyone.
Yeah, I think emphasis on this is us exploring live together. We've kind of put together what we want this to look like, and we know it works. But we are going to be building it live together. And I also want to preface, I am, and I think this is really relevant, but I'm not technical. And I think a lot of times when people hear building an AI agent, it feels intimidating. And so I think just to know too, like I may stumble upon some of this stuff as we're going and building it because it is happening live. But I think it's really good to know, like, this is approachable. Relay makes it super easy for non-technical people, for me, to understand how to actually build something. And when Jacob and I put it together the first time, it was like, we were like, wait, it was that easy? Like, it feels complicated.
Well, the first time we totally failed. And then the second time it was super easy.
It's too easy almost. I was like, oh, I just did that. I built a real agent that works. And so,
yeah, and we can even talk about some of the stumbling blocks that we ran into the first time so that people can proactively overcome them.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think we have quorum to just get started?
I think so. I think we're good.
Let's do it.
Okay. Did you want to do a new introduction?
No, let's just dive right in and start building.
Okay.
People will catch up as we go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to be mostly driving this, and Jacob's going to be kind of talking through how he thinks about this and how a person might think about building an AI agent. But I want to talk through kind of the use case that we are building this for here. So I mentioned earlier, I'm from Arrows. All of our customers are HubSpot users, either HubSpot people, AEs or CSMs that use HubSpot day to day. And so I'm going to show HubSpot here in a second, but basically the way to think about this workflow is like, you're a sales rep. I think this can work for customer success managers too, but we're specifically thinking about this for sales reps. But you're a sales rep, you're in back-to-back meetings all day, and you have maybe already done a demo with a customer, and you have this follow-up meeting. Usually there's other stakeholders being brought in. There was some kind of work that needs to be done in between meetings, and you want to know what you need to have prepared for this meeting, but you don't want to go into HubSpot, search through every email, every meeting note, all the context in your CRM. So what we're doing is basically having this AI agent look at all of that context inside HubSpot and then deliver a Slack message to the sales rep directly at a certain time before the meeting starts to say, this is all the context that you need for all of the meetings that you have coming up. And so it's just automatically delivered to that rep without them having to think about anything or do anything manually. So Jacob, do you want to talk about like how to, at a high level, think about structuring something like this?
Yeah, so I'll try to give a few general pointers, because again, there's so much hype around AI automations, workflows, and agents that can make it much less approachable. But really, there are 4 simple elements to many AI workflows, including the one we're going to build here. First, you need to tell your AI when to wake up and start doing work on your behalf. And so in this case, and in automation speak, you may hear this referred to as a trigger. That's what it's called in Relay.app and many other automation tools. The trigger is when the AI agent is going to wake up. In this case, we're going to trigger relative to an upcoming calendar event. You could trigger 30 minutes before, 10 minutes before, an hour before, the day before, whenever you want. That's going to tell the agent when to wake up. That's number 1. Let's see if we can get that emoji thing to come again. No, it didn't work. The second thing you need to do is you need to let your AI agent gather the data and the context it needs to do the task. So in this case, gathering the data is just going to mean looking up the relevant deal in HubSpot and then understanding all of the properties and notes within that deal. In other workflows, you could imagine looking up information on the web. You could imagine looking up information on LinkedIn. You could imagine searching through your past events or emails or your task management system. But the second step is always give the AI the data and context it needs. Step 3 is the step known as the prompt step. If you've used ChatGPT or other tools, you're probably familiar with prompt writing, which is where you give natural language instructions of what you want the AI to do. So in this case, we're going to give instructions like, given all of this information in HubSpot about this potential customer, write me a briefing that will prepare me for the next meeting with them. And you'll see that as Kim builds this out, we're going to be a little bit smarter about what we ask the AI to do. But fundamentally, we're giving the AI instructions. That's step 3. So we woke up the agent. It went and looked at all the information it needed. We gave it the instructions of what to do. And then the last thing we need to do is have the AI agent communicate the information to us. And in this case, it's going to send us a Slack message. The output could be a Slack message. It could be an email. It could write it back into your CRM. It could make a Google Doc. And so by the end, it may feel like overwhelming or confusing, or if you apply to it, if you watch some of these crazy demos online where you'll see people post like 50 different, very complex steps, it can make it look more complicated than it is. But fundamentally, if you can think about something you do repeatedly where you want an AI to wake up, look up some information, produce some output, and send it to you, that's the structure we're gonna demonstrate here.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen and I'll start in HubSpot so you can kind of see what we are thinking about and working with. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so I kind of shared this earlier, but imagine you're a sales rep that uses HubSpot. So this is a deal that I have inside HubSpot. One thing that I want to call out, and I see Jeff from Grain is here. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure all of your context is inside HubSpot. So that means if you're using an AI call recording tool, you can see here I've got a meeting summary here. So this is summarizing. I've got a call recorder that's joining my calls, and this is putting the meeting summaries into HubSpot. So if you're using a tool like that, make sure you have the HubSpot integration turned on so that your meeting notes are going into HubSpot directly. So on this deal here, I would have all of the context from my previous interactions with this particular deal. So this is, again, notes from a meeting. You would have emails, anything like that will be on the HubSpot deal here. I am going to call out because this is a piece that we built into this workflow. I work at Arrows, so we build sales rooms. So this is something that you would send basically a sales room to a prospect after your demo is held. That includes all of the resources they need to buy your product, basically. So this integrates with HubSpot. We are syncing a bunch of data points about what's happening in this room. So how many visitors there have been, how many views there have been, how engaged overall they are with the room. So all of that data is inside HubSpot here. So we're also able to basically collect the data from other apps like Arrows inside the HubSpot deal here. And Relay is able to read that because it's all in this HubSpot deal together. And then we're able to surface insights about that in the Slack alert as well. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I'm just answering a couple of questions in chat. A couple of questions. One, are we going to build from scratch? Yes, we're about to start doing that. The second is, does it translate from voice call recording? For this demo, we're going to assume that you've got all the data in HubSpot already. If you don't have the data in HubSpot yet, we can talk separately about how you can get the data in HubSpot from your meeting recording tool or any other relevant tool. But for this demo, we're just going to use what's already in HubSpot. We might do a subsequent session on how to get stuff into HubSpot if people are interested.
Yeah, that's a good call. Okay, cool. So I am in Relay here. We've got some of this other stuff that I've set up, but I'm assuming, Jacob, I'll start with just new workflow here.
Yeah. So let's give everyone a moment. So yeah, open up a new workflow. Let's give everyone a moment who wants to build along with us to get to the new workflow screen. To get there, you can go to the web address that I'm putting in, which is Relay.app. You're gonna create a free account. Nothing here will cost you any money. And you'll have to connect. You'll have to sign in with either Google or Microsoft, and then you'll answer a couple questions about how you heard about it. And then very soon you'll end up in the new workflow screen, which is where Kim is. Let's just give everyone like 10 seconds to get there, and we can answer any questions in the chat while we wait for everyone to get to this new workflow screen.
Cool. I am going to put this in the chat. One thing, just because there's some questions about getting your notes into HubSpot, I just put together this whole test of 22 AI note takers together that all integrate with HubSpot. So I'm going to put that in there. You can open it up and you can see like all of the different notes, and all of those tools integrate with HubSpot. So you can take a pick, and they all should be able to sync their notes into HubSpot deals automatically. Cool.
Okay, cool. So now in the top left where it says Untitled Workflow, we can just give it a name like whatever you want to call it, meeting briefings from HubSpot data.
Cool.
Okay, so if anyone's not ready yet, shout. Otherwise, I think we can go ahead and start building the trigger. Okay, let's go for it. So the trigger, as you remember, is like the first. Oh, wait a bit. Okay, we'll give 10 more seconds, and I'll just explain what the trigger is going to be again before Kim actually goes through and builds it. The trigger is the signal that will wake up your AI agent to work on your behalf. And in this case, we're going to trigger based on an upcoming calendar event. In other workflows, you could trigger based on an email being received, or a deal state being reached in HubSpot, or a new Gong call recording coming in, or the passage of time. Like you could run something every week on a Friday, a new RSS feed item comes in. There's a bunch of different things you can trigger on, and any AI workflow is going to start with a trigger. And so with that, you can press the Add Trigger button. You'll probably see it's the main button in the middle of the screen that Kim just clicked on. And then the menu popped up from the right. Okay, so Kim, looking at this trigger menu, and given that description of how we want the AI to wake up, like what are we going to pick here?
Okay, so I know I want to connect to HubSpot. Do people have to go into their app section, or is this showing because I've already used it? Maybe go into apps or search for HubSpot.
What you have there are the 3 apps you've already connected. Most people who have just signed up for a clean account won't have that. Okay. But in this case, our trigger, right, because we're going to trigger off of the meeting entry from HubSpot. Yep. So yeah, you can type in HubSpot if people don't have it yet, because they might not see those 3 entries at the bottom. And that's going to show you the different options for HubSpot.
Cool. And I think we were going to trigger this on a new meeting being added to the deal.
Exactly. And a new meeting is a type of record. So people will click the new record added. And then you'll see after we click new record added, it'll tell us what kind of record are we looking for. Are we looking for a deal or a company or a ticket or a goal? But in this case, we're looking for a meeting.
Okay, great. One thing I'm going to do really quick, just because for this demo, I'm going to have it run in our HubSpot demo account. So I'm going to switch our account here quick.
Right. And for people who have not connected HubSpot yet, as soon as they hit HubSpot, new record created, they would have been prompted with a screen that says, hey, we need access to your HubSpot if we're going to be able to do this on your behalf. And so let's give everyone like a few seconds to get through the HubSpot connection flow if they're doing that live. And let us know in the chat if you run into any issues connecting HubSpot. And then maybe give a thumbs up if you've gotten to the point where you've got the trigger with new record added and the object type is meeting.
All right.
Okay, we got one thumbs up. Let's wait for let's wait for a third thumbs up, and then we'll keep going. Okay, we got 3 thumbs up. I think that's good to go. And if you fall behind, just keep asking questions in the chat, and I'll reply to all of them. One thing that's really nice, where Kim, I think you're just hovering your mouse right now. And that's okay, Ali. We're gonna have the recording afterward if you want to go through it on your own time. But in that little preview box at the bottom, you can see those are the most recent meetings that were added. That's a good sanity check of is it actually connected to my HubSpot? Is it finding the right stuff? And so, Kim, do those look like 5 recent meetings that were recently added in your test HubSpot instance?
They do. However, I know the last time when we tested this up, I think we added a filter just so I could run this properly on the deal that I have connected. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what if we don't add any filters, this is going to trigger for every new meeting that's added in HubSpot. If you only want this to trigger for certain kinds of meetings, like meetings where a deal is in certain considerations or meeting that have a particular name, you could add a filter like Kim just did. So in this case, you added a filter contains Talents app because we have one specific demo meeting that we want to use for this demo. But you can set whatever filters you want on which meetings should initiate this workflow.
Yeah, and so maybe one good use case, I guess, is we could say potentially, it's associated to deals in the sales pipeline, for example, if you only want this to be triggered based on deals in a specific pipeline in HubSpot.
Exactly. Okay.
Cool.
Or I see you have some other properties there that are do you have a priority field or a deal size field? Whatever kind of information attributes you have, you could set up filters that trigger based on that.
Yeah.
So Drew, the meeting option is going to be when you have new record added, trigger run when new record added and the object type is meeting. I think the meeting object type exists in all HubSpot plans, but I'm actually not.
They should.
You should have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, where it picks the object type, because HubSpot has a lot of different record types. So rather than having a specific trigger for new meeting, new call, new task, new deal, new company, we have a single trigger for new record, and then you select what type of record you want to trigger for.
Found it.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we got our trigger.
I think we're good to go on our trigger for now, right?
Yep. Okay, and then the next step is, do we set up the prompt right away?
Yeah, so what we want to do conceptually is we want to get the deal information that's associated with this meeting. And so in this particular case, we could actually do it right from the prompt, but I think I want to show another step first, which is looking up the deal, just so people kind of know how they would do that if they want to look up information. So can you add a step that's a find step?
Find
and
record?
Let's find a record in HubSpot, exactly. And we're going to find a deal.
Okay.
And we're going to find the first matching deal, because I believe you can associate multiple deals with a meeting in HubSpot, but we really only want to find one deal.
Yeah.
And then to identify the record, let's add a filter.
Okay.
And if you scroll down, it should show you access to the meetings that are associated with the deal. There we go, meetings. And then meetings has one of. And then select the current meeting, the meeting from the trigger that triggered this thing. So what we're doing here is we're going into HubSpot and we're looking up the first deal that's associated with this meeting. So if you click, but thanks for leaving that on screen for a moment there. We want to click the first one.
Okay.
And if no records are found, I think we want to fail, because really every meeting should probably be associated with a deal. And if it's not, it should, when we say fail, it means it's just going to send you an error notification that says, I couldn't find a deal with this meeting, orphaned meeting, fix it. And if more than one deal is found, let's pick the first one. So I'll show you in a moment why this step was not strictly necessary, because we could have actually just navigated to find the first deal from the meeting. But this is a nice conceptual step of like, usually you want to look something up. So like, let's say you would trigger this from your Google Calendar. You need to look up the right deal in HubSpot. On the question of the filters for the meeting step, you don't actually need any filters. Kim set up a specific filter just to make sure we would catch the demo meeting that we wanted to use for testing purposes. But you can set up whatever filters you'd like.
I might not have
I think we did like meeting contains talent zap, because that's I think what our demo call was.
Yep, exactly.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions about looking up the deal that's associated with this meeting, or why we needed to do that? Because the deal, like the meeting object in HubSpot, doesn't actually contain that much information. It's really the deal that contains, for example, all the arrows information.
Yep, exactly. Cool.
Okay, let's wait maybe for 3 thumbs up before proceeding to the next step.
I do see one question or one comment there about the HubSpot data not being clean enough for this. I think I'll just say that this is our demo account. And so our demo account is incredibly messy because it's not actually being used. And it's just, our team putting demo data in there, and it still works. I think it's fair for sure, but I would maybe test it and try it. And you can filter out, like you can filter to a specific meeting there so that you're just testing it with one that's coming up, for example. But I would maybe try it still, because I think you'll be surprised at how Relay can pull in the data in a pretty cool way that might be less intimidating, I guess, for messy data.
Yeah, and one thing we can maybe handle in Q&A at the end is there are different types of messy data. There could be meetings that are orphaned. There could be updated information that's not updated. And depending on what the messiness looks like, we can mitigate around it.
Yeah.
So we're using the deal because the context of this demo is I have an upcoming sales meeting. Let's say after a discovery call, a demo call is coming up. And I want to reference what I already know about the deal to prepare myself for that demo call. For example, in the discovery call, we learned, Kim is the key stakeholder and she hates Jacob. Like, we should take that into account, when we're doing the demo. That's not a perfect example. But that's why we want to look up the deal, because the deal contains all of the information that's going to enable us to brief the sales rep appropriately for the next meeting.
Okay, cool. I'm back.
Okay, so can we get a thumbs up if folks are ready to move on to the fun part, which is the AI step? Let's see. Are folks still setting up the find record step? Okay, I see some thumbs up. Okay, cool. So the next step, this is the big one. This is the AI step. And so if you press that plus button again, you'll get the step menu again from the right. And this time, exactly, we're going to pick the third one down, which is the AI step. And now you can just pause on this screen for a moment, because within your AI agent or your AI workflow, there's a bunch of different types of AI steps you may want to do. You may want to extract information from a PDF. You may want to summarize a long document. You may want to classify an email as spam or not spam. You might want to translate text from one language to another. You might want to transcribe some audio. There's a bunch of stuff you can do. But in this case, think about the output that you want. And in this case, the output that we want is a briefing notification that's going to go in Slack, right? I think we're going to send it in Slack at the end. And so what we want is text. We want the AI to write some text for us. And so I would select I think it's like the fourth or fifth one down, write text.
Cool.
And then the first question is going to ask us at the top is, what are you writing? And so if you show that drop down, you can see here are all the different things you might want to write. You might want to write a chat message. You might want to write an email. You might want to write a document. And this is helpful because if you tell the AI, it's just like when you go to ChatGPT yourself. If you tell the AI what you're trying to write, it kind of knows what a blog post looks like. It knows what a tweet looks like. It knows what a Slack message looks like. And so that gives the AI some really helpful guidance to help it write a good message. So in this case, we're going to do a chat message.
Cool.
And now, Kim, for the prompt, I turn it over to you entirely. This is giving the AI instructions about what we want it to write in this pre-meeting notification.
Yes. Okay, so I will say the first time Jacob and I ran through this, I literally typed on the fly very generic information, and the Slack notification was really strong, like very, very usable. I have since done a little bit of tweaking on my own to get it a little bit closer to what I wanted. So I am going to put in the prompt that I put together here, and I'll walk through what it is, and we can share it with everyone afterward, exactly what this prompt is. But I just want to preface that like, it's really good with just like a free flow, like the way that you would prompt ChatGPT or Claude or any of those other tools that you're using.
Yeah, and maybe Kim, so people can listen as you're explaining the prompt. After you type it in, can you just paste it in the chat so everyone can copy and paste it into their workflow?
Yes. Let me put, it's long, so I'm going to put it in the chat, but it's long for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Did that show up there?
I don't see it yet.
Okay, let me try it one more time.
I wonder if you've broken the character limit of the.
I think I might have.
I think then you can just probably paste in the first couple sentences and it'll be okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put this in here. See if that works. Okay. Yeah. There's the beginning of this. So I'll talk through it here though too. So basically, from all the previous meeting notes and deal activity in HubSpot, summarize the purpose of this next meeting. So what is the meeting that we have coming up? What's the goal or agenda that was discussed? And this is, again, like, this is mostly pulling from the meeting notes that we have on the HubSpot deal. Are there any decision points or outcomes that are expected from this meeting? And then it says, list the action items that were expected to be completed before this meeting, separated by party. So our team, what did I say I needed to do as a sales rep? And what did the customer say they were going to do? If they were going to present to someone internally, if I said I was going to send something, so we know everything that was expected. And then provide relevant context from prior calls, including proposed timeline, objections that were already brought up on the past call, and then also all of the key stakeholders involved in the meeting. And then this is the cool kind of use case for, we're looking at Arrow specifically here, but any external app that is connected to that HubSpot deal and has properties on the HubSpot deal, you can pull in. And the thing that I think is really cool here that Jacob and I kind of tested, but I'm not even like specifically referencing, like I'm not tagging a specific property from HubSpot. We can do that, but the AI can just pick up, these are properties, because I'm telling it, these are Arrow's properties, and include their values with an emoji that represents the engagement level. And so I'm specifying, show the Arrow's room activity level, the total views, and the number of unique visitors, because those are the things that I want to know. How engaged is our buyer before I go into the next meeting? And it can pull those in. And same thing with any other properties that you can reference here. I've got it including the meeting title and time at the top that it's pulling from the meeting. And then I set up some specific rules. Jacob, you guys might already have stuff, but this is just what I always do for like any kind of AI prompting of like, don't hallucinate, if something's missing, skip it. Keep it concise, format for Slack, that kind of thing. And then I also added add a short line of coaching for how to approach this meeting based on the context of the deal. And then this is a cool thing that I also played around with a little bit, but I saw, Jacob, I kind of taught myself this in Relay, but you can, I think you can like tag a property here. So I can basically include a hyperlink to the deal so that I can open up the deal directly from Slack. So what I did here is I typed this little @ here, and then I'm referencing the deal. And then I think it's,
if you scroll all the way down, is there a URL you can link to directly?
Well, there's a deal ID.
I think I've seen URL. I know everyone's
record URL. Okay,
so record URL. I think it'll take you right there.
Okay, I think you're right. Cool. Okay.
It's a great prompt. I hope it works. It's a great prompt.
I tested it and it was working well. Do you have any feedback?
I hope it works right now. I know it works in general. Yeah. And there's one more super important thing, which is we need to attach the deal object.
Okay.
So where you have attached data there exactly, then you click that attach data button and then you attach the deal from step 2, because that's what the AI is going to look into for all that information that you were referencing.
Great. Do we need to attach the meeting specifically too? I saw that.
No, because you can. It doesn't hurt. But the meeting is already associated with the deal, and so Relay is smart enough that it should look at the sub objects within the deal. If we find that it's not looking at the appropriate sub objects, we can reference them directly. So let me just show you how to do that. So press the add button again. Because I remember for this use case, we really cared specifically about the notes from the deal notes. So go to select specific meal, so select specific field at the bottom, and then you see deal there. So now this is going to show us all the properties within the deal to make sure, because with these AI steps, you want to give the AI just the right amount of information. You don't want to give it too little information for sure, but you also don't necessarily want to overwhelm with too much unnecessary information. So if you want to just pick specific properties from the deal, that's how you do it. You press attach, select specific field, you go into the deal. And so go down to notes, because I think it was the notes that we wanted. And if you go to notes, you'll see that there's a list of notes, and we want to just combine all the notes. So there's combine from all elements, and I think we want to combine the note body from all elements. Cool. And so that just gives you another way. Like if you want to make really sure I'm getting the note bodies from this deal, you can select that specific field and feel confident the AI is going to have access to exactly what it needs. And you may have different properties in your HubSpot that are particularly important for your use case.
Cool. And then I think the one thing that we did last time too is we specified a specific model. Do you recommend doing that typically?
Yeah, so the best fit model is like, we're going to take our best guess based on how hard the thing you're asking us to do is to pick the right model. Let's just try best fit model. And then if we're not happy with the results, we can always switch to a more expensive model. In general, the best fit model, we're going to try to do something with pretty cheap first, and then we can make it more expensive as needed. And then we can optionally express how long it should be. But I think, Kim, your prompts did a plenty good job of specifying that. I don't think we need to put anything else in here.
Cool. All right, so everything else here is good?
Yeah, and maybe just scroll up and leave the AI configuration on the screen for 10 more seconds so everyone can see it and ask questions if anything is counterintuitive. And don't worry about your prompt exactly matching Kim's prompt, because you're of course going to want to adapt it to your own needs anyway. Yeah, Rajesh, if you already have an OpenAI or Anthropic platform account, Kim, can you click into best fit model there? You see at the bottom, there's a use your own credentials. That's kind of an advanced feature. But yeah, if you have your own API key for OpenAI or Anthropic, you can plug it in there. And yeah, Margaret, if you use company instead of meeting, that's totally fine. In whatever context this is relevant to trigger for you, or whatever data is relevant for you to pull, that's you'll want to customize this to your needs.
Cool.
So Billy, will this work with Copilot? I assume you're talking about Microsoft Copilot, the spiritual successor to Power Automate. Is that right? Or are you talking about a different Copilot? Assuming it is the Microsoft Copilot, I'm actually not sure. I've not tested this in Copilot specifically. Copilot is a conceptually similar product to Relay, but I don't know that it has the same depth of HubSpot integration that we do. And so you would have to test that out and make sure it can pull all the fields out of HubSpot that you need. In general, the Microsoft tools are pretty good at working with other tools within the Microsoft ecosystem, but they often don't have as deep connections to other tools like HubSpot for understandable reasons.
Cool.
But try it out and report back. I'm curious. Okay, right. So I think we're ready to proceed to the last step, which is sending the Slack message.
Cool. Let's do it.
Let's just pause for a moment for questions and a couple thumbs up.
Okay, cool. All right, we've got some thumbs up.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Margaret and Jackie and Bill. Okay, so now let's add that last step, which is the Slack message.
Great.
So yeah, press the plus button again, and we're going to pull up that menu from the right. And now, Kim, you have a Slack item there because I think you already connected Slack. For people who don't have Slack connected yet, they'll need to type Slack in the top. And then once you type Slack, you can pick an action. And I think in this case, we want to send a message because we want to send this as a message ourselves. And then as soon as you click send message, everyone who has not yet connected Slack is going to get a screen to connect Slack. So let's give them some time to do that before we go through the rest of this. And we can answer Ali's question. What if we're using open phone for calls? Ali, you have two options here. One is you can get the open phone calls into HubSpot, which is generally best practice that I recommend. Like if you can get all the data into HubSpot and make it your source of truth, you could do that. I believe open phone and HubSpot have a native integration, but if not, Relay has an open phone integration and Relay has a HubSpot integration, so you can actually use it to connect those two. Or if you don't want that data in HubSpot for whatever reason, you could add another step to find the calls from open phone. In much the same way that in step 2, we found a record in HubSpot, you could do a find step in open phone to find your, I think it's called like find call transcripts or something like that. I would have to look it up. You can ping me offline about that.
Cool.
Okay, so now hopefully you've all connected Slack. Connecting Slack can actually be a bit of an obstacle course, because if you're in multiple Slack workspaces, you have to connect it to the correct Slack workspace. And there's this little workspace switcher in the top right, which can be kind of difficult to find. But I'm going to assume that folks have had a chance to connect Slack at this point, and we can construct the message.
Great.
Okay, so Kim, walk us through it. What are you seeing?
Okay, so we're going to send from Relay. I don't think we configured that last time. And then in this instance,
you could either send it from the Relay bot or you could send it from yourself, whatever you prefer.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I think I prefer from the bot in this case.
In general, for automations, we recommend sending it from the bot because it makes it more clear that it's an automated thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jackie, that's expected. We do direct installs rather than via the Slack marketplace. If you're not a workspace owner, then unfortunately we would need to get permission from your workspace owner, and you won't be able to do this part of the demo. So we'll have to take it offline. If you're unable to connect Slack for whatever reason, you could follow along by sending yourself an email instead. If you want to send yourself an email in Gmail, the same exact flow will work. You'll just choose send email from Gmail rather than send message in Slack, and you'll get the same basic experience.
Cool. Okay, so then within Slack, I want it to be sent as a DM in this case because I want it to go directly to the sales rep and I don't need everyone seeing it. So I'll select DM, and then for the destination user, in this case, I want it to go to the deal owner because that in our instance, the deal owner is the sales rep, so the person who's going to be running the meeting. So I'm going to select that.
Yeah, and in other cases, you may want to have it go to a common deal channel if you want multiple people to be prepped. And so you can either send it as, a channel message or a DM. But the cool thing there was you can dynamically look up who the deal owner is and send it to just that correct person. You don't have to always send it to a hard-coded person like yourself.
Yeah. And so then I guess the step here too is that email address has to match, like the email address of the user in HubSpot has to match the email address of the user in Slack, which exactly. I think most of the time is true, but
if you have everything configured in a normal way, should mostly be true. Yeah. I wonder if that might break for this demo because we're using a demo HubSpot workspace.
I think when I've been testing it before and I think it'll work.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But that could be an issue for others who are testing it out.
Cool. And then I forget what we do in the message so that it references the AI step. Is that what we do next?
Exactly. So in step 3, we wrote the message. And now in step 4, we need to paste it into Slack. And so you have 2 ways to do that. You can either press the @ key or you can press the data button in the bottom right. Doing either of those will give you access to all of the previous information in the workflow. And in this case, exactly right. We want the AI output from step 4. So maybe just stay hovered there for a moment so that everyone can see how to navigate to the AI output. So you can either press the data button or type @ which will pull up the data menu. They'll do the same thing. And then you want to go to step 4, your AI step, and hover over it and then click AI output.
Cool. And one thing I didn't even notice that these were referencing, like 1 here is referencing step 1 for the meeting that was added. 2 is referencing the deal. Okay, cool. So
exactly. So if for some reason you had a workflow that had multiple deals or multiple meetings in play, that step number on the left is what makes it easy to know which one you're referring to. And also, if you wanted to hard code any information like the deal URL in the Slack message, if for whatever reason the AI didn't include that, you could just reference that field directly here. So your Slack messages don't need to be AI generated. You could also just type them and then pull in the deal information dynamically. But in this case, we wanted to use AI to do a smart synthesis across the deal information.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to select this.
And with that, I think we're done.
Okay.
And should we test it?
Let's test it. Do I start a test run up here?
Yeah, so hit done there, and then we're going to start a test run. And what the test run is going to let us do, and folks can either follow along with the test run on their own computers, or they can just watch us do a test run just to see the experience. But what it's going to show us at the top is you're going to pick one pre-existing meeting that met your trigger filter criteria and select it and use that as the basis for your test run. So because we set up the trigger filter specifically to catch this one specific meeting for this demo, you only have one option. But for those of you following along, if you did not set up trigger filters or you set up different trigger filters, you may see five items here that you could choose among. And so, yeah, let's create the test run by hitting that blue button.
Cool. And then I should get a notification in Slack. Is that right?
So first, you're going to be on this this initial screen is just going to give you one more reminder of here are all the things that are going to happen. And here's how you're going to watch it in motion. And so if there's anything you want to change before you start the test run, because once you start this, it's going to start doing stuff. And so this is like your last chance to be like, oh no, I don't want the Slack message to go to the deal owner. I want the Slack message to go to someone else. But in this case, let's start the test run and see what happens. So click start run at the top. So now it is looking up the deal in HubSpot that corresponds to that meeting. Let's see if it finds it.
Error.
Okay, so it failed to find the deal. Let's see what's going on. This is a very real situation. Okay, didn't find anything. So it looks like for some reason it wasn't able to find a deal based on looking up the meeting. I actually think we had this issue, Kim, when we were setting it up the first time.
Okay.
So let's close out of this.
Okay.
And let's go back to edit the workflow.
Okay.
Because that find step was useful for instructional purposes, but not actually necessary.
Oh, yeah.
So remove that find record step.
Okay.
And when you remove that find record step, the AI step is going to break, right?
Okay.
Because we need to reconnect the right data. So do you see where it says missing variable and notes? Just X out of those two. And those of you following along, you may have had the same error or a different error. Happy to help debug those. But then if you go to attach data, go to select specific field. And in this case, remember, we're going to navigate through that menu to the deals. Then we're going to get the first deal. Then we're going to navigate to the notes. It's going to be a bit involved.
Notes, okay.
And then we're going to do combine from all. And then the body.
Okay.
So now we've fixed our AI step. Now let's, it looks like there's one more thing, the deal URL we need to fix in the prompt, remember?
Okay. And then do we need to reference the deal here?
We shouldn't need to, because I think in this case, let's also reference the deal. You're right. Let's also add another attachment, which is the deal.
Okay,
Don't get rid of the one you just did. Oh, that's okay. We can re-edit. So reference the deal, the first deal, and then go to the top and say entire record.
Okay.
And then let's do the same thing again, and let's also get the notes. Let's also get the notes. Let's just make it nice and explicit for this demo.
Exactly. Okay, and I'm going to grab
maximize our chances of success. Combine from all elements and note body. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
And I think one more thing you need to fix in the AI step. Remember at the bottom you had the deal URL. You need to recreate that one. So go to the meeting and then the first associated deal, and then the URL, the record URL.
Okay, great. Back on track.
And now we need to fix the Slack message, because we changed the AI step. And so now we need to change the Slack step too. And so we need to get the deal owner from the first associated deal and then the deal owner.
Okay.
And now we're back on track. Let's publish the workflow and let's do another test run. Let's do for new runs only.
Okay.
And we can delete that failed run later, but we'll leave it for now as an example of a failure.
Okay. And start a test run here.
Let's start the test run again.
Okay, I've got my meeting. Okay, start run.
Yep.
Okay, I got a Slack notification.
Did you receive a Slack message?
I did, yes.
Can you show us all what the Slack message says?
Yes, let me reshare my screen. Let's see, where's Slack? Here we go. Okay, so this is the output that we got.
Okay.
Meeting title.
I'm not seeing your screen yet. I think.
Oh, sorry.
Can everyone see it now?
Yep.
Okay, so there's the Slack message.
So we have the meeting title, the date and time, purpose of the next meeting, which looks accurate based on the notes that I had put in. Action items, our team was going to share case studies, pricing, templates. Customer team was going to loop in Jason, test plan creation, relevant context from the meeting, all the stakeholders. This is a really important piece. And then arrows, engagement level. So the room activity level is hot with a good emoji. I mean, it's following the instructions for sure. The one thing is the formatting just got a little bit off.
Yep. Another thing that I see that is wrong is it said meeting title at April 3.
Oh,
and we actually want it to be the meeting title, not the meeting title.
Yeah.
So let's go back and fix those things.
Okay.
So let's go back to Relay. By the way, this basically worked, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like, this is already very valuable.
Yes.
Exactly. Now let's go back and fix those last couple of issues.
Okay, let me go back in here. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, so let's go back to the workflow. And then we're going to go into the write text with AI step.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the two things we weren't super happy about with there were the meeting title wasn't right, and then it had those like HTML tags for line breaks.
Yep.
So do you see where it says meeting title in your prompt? I think you might have to scroll down a little bit.
Yep.
So you see where it says meeting title at time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you replace that? And let's just pull in the actual meeting title.
Yeah.
So
totally.
delete that and press the @ key.
Mm-hmm.
And from the meeting object in HubSpot, we should be able to just get the meeting name from right there.
Oh, meeting name.
It was at the very top. Yeah. And then let's also pull in the start time.
Okay, so meeting start time. Awesome. Better.
Cool. And now at the bottom, I think you wrote some stuff like formats for Slack with with some stuff.
Yep.
And said like, and just say like, don't include any HTML tags like BR/ like a bracket. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, let's see if the AI is smart enough to take that into account.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna hit done.
Yep, and let's publish that. And let's run it one more time just to see if it correctly adapted to our modification.
Okay.
And for everyone watching, like, I think this is a really important part of these build with me sessions is like, I have never, I don't know, maybe Kim, you've had a different experience. I have never, ever set one of these things up and had it be exactly what I wanted the first time. And so this experience of going back, figuring out what's not quite right, testing your prompt, changing your prompt, like this is the whole art of the game.
And it's like, it's pretty minor things here too. Okay, so I already got the notification again, so I'm going to share my Slack here. Okay, so this is way better. So this is the actual meeting title. Oops, thanks for sharing. Okay,
yep.
This is the actual meeting title and date and time, which is perfect. Got rid of the formatting. And other than that, I think all of the information is correct in here.
And when you click on that HubSpot deal at the bottom, does it take you to the right place?
It does. It's not going to show the same.
Oh, because it's not in your workspace. Yeah.
But it does. I can confirm that.
I would say for the purposes of this session, we can declare victory there. We have successfully achieved a meeting briefing Slack notification that read a bunch of interesting data from our HubSpot.
Yeah. The one thing that kind of addresses Allie's question in the chat here that I know we talked about last time is ideally we would have this set up where I think we added a step in the workflow to say basically only run this. And in my case, I wanted it an hour before the meeting hit. So you can set it on a schedule.
Perfect. So let's do that now. So right now it's going to run as soon as that new meeting is added, but that's way too early because if the meeting is added, 6 days before the meeting, you don't want this notification then. So let's add a step to wait until the day of the meeting. So press that plus button again.
Mm-hmm.
And let's make a wait step. Can you just type wait?
Yep.
And then wait for time.
Okay.
And then instead of wait for time, we're going to pick wait for a date. This is kind of confusing, but there's a method to the madness. And yeah, the reference date is the meeting date. And so I don't think we want to do it one day after the meeting. I think we want to do it one day before the meeting. So can you change that offset from after to before?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think for my use case, I think I was kind of playing around with I want it maybe an hour before, maybe 20 minutes before, but I think that's something to play around with too, is how soon do you want the information?
Totally. I met some people who want it 5 minutes before, some people want it an hour before, some people who want it the night before, some people who want it the morning of. So you can configure that to be whatever you want. But I think nobody wants it at the moment the meeting was scheduled. So this kind of a wait step is a good way to make sure the notification is going to come at just the right time.
Yes, definitely.
So with that, should we spend the last 6 or 7 minutes going through any questions people have?
Yes, let's do it.
Kim, I'm going to question for you already.
Perfect. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now, but I can pull it back up if we need. Okay, so the question is, do we log all our meetings manually, or is that automated through HubSpot meeting links? We use HubSpot meeting links for all of our meetings at Arrows. So any sales meetings that are happening are automatically associated to the deal because the contact that booked the meeting through HubSpot meeting, the HubSpot meeting booker is associated to the deal automatically. So for us, any sales meetings are automatically shown on the deal object just by using the HubSpot meeting booker. And I'm assuming I'm not very familiar with the other, if you use Chili Piper or Calendly or those other calendar tools, but I know they have great HubSpot integrations, and I assume you could catch them on the deal.
And if for whatever reason you don't want those meetings to flow from your Google Calendar into HubSpot, or not that you don't want to, if it's not part of your workflow, instead of triggering based on a new meeting in HubSpot, you could trigger based on a new meeting in Calendly or Google Calendar, and then you could still go look up the relevant HubSpot information and reference it. It just the demo Kim showed was particularly nice because it was all in one in HubSpot. And so that shows the benefit of, keeping everything in HubSpot.
Yeah, I think ask any other questions if anyone has anything for me or Jacob broadly around Relay, Arrows, HubSpot, any of that. But I think just talking about that too, I think if anyone follows HubSpot, I know they're talking a lot, and Yamini, their CEO, is talking a lot about unstructured data in the CRM. And so I think this is a really good example of that, is there's so much data in that deal record. We are just referencing, in this instance, the meeting notes and the Arrows sales room properties, but there's so much you could reference. You could reference the deal amount. I actually probably would recommend putting that in there so that, there's so many things that you can reference that are coming in. And again, we're just connecting Arrows into HubSpot here, and that's why we can reference that data. But any third-party tool that you have coming into HubSpot that connects data into HubSpot, you can use that for an agent like this. And there's so many different use cases. This is just a pre-meeting briefing, but you can do it for your customer success managers to tell you information about the customer that they're working with. There's just so many things that you can do on top of all the data that you have stored in HubSpot.
Yeah, and this is kind of the key AI breakthrough, which is if you've tried to build these things out in a Zapier or HubSpot workflows in the past, and you've had to specify, I want the Slack message to include exactly this field, exactly this field, exactly this field, it can be quite tedious. Whereas now with AI, you can just say, here's all the fields. I want a meeting notification to look like this. And with your Arrows example, the AI was smart enough to plug in directly. So Savannah, your question. I'm not going to overly pitch Relay.app, but I'll tell you about why you might want to choose Relay.app relative to Zapier or Make. If you are looking for the most comprehensive number of integrations, and you want kind of if this, then that workflows where you specify every element of what's happening, you should totally use Zapier or Make. Relay has way fewer integrations. And Relay is specifically designed for these AI-powered workflows where you have a synthesis component or a summarization component, or in this case, AI automatically generating some text for you. And so we have way fewer integrations, but a way deeper and easier to use AI experience. And so many of our customers actually use Relay.app for some things and Zapier for other things. And they're typically trying to migrate to Relay.app over time as we build out additional integrations. But I would never say anything negative about Zapier or Make. Those are both great products also. It's just a question of, do you care more about like classical workflow essentials and integrations, or the sort of AI and human in the loop experience?
Cool.
Did that answer the question reasonably well, Savannah?
I think it does. I mean, I can speak from my own perspective. I was like wanting to, again, I'm non-technical. I've been curious about getting into more AI use cases myself. And I explored all of those tools as I was exploring Relay. And I think a big piece of all of these tools is like, I need to know how to do it. Like, I don't have the brain that just gets it right away. So like walking through it with you, Jacob, hopefully people are finding this valuable to be like, this is how you conceptually would think about starting a workflow like this. But to me, it feels so much easier in a UI like Relay, where I don't know.
Yeah,
me, it felt a lot more intuitive.
Because we are a newer player, Relay.app is much newer and less known than Zapier and Make. Most of our users come to us because they've already failed at Zapier and Make. And so anyone so we've really tried to make the easiest experience that's built for non-technical users. And so even if you found one of those other tools intimidating or difficult, our hope is that you'll be welcome with us.
Yeah, feels much more approachable.
And yeah, I'm totally available on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect, send me a DM anytime, and I'm happy to help.
I DM Jacob to get this webinar set up. So
yeah. I do check my DMs. Sometimes they're a little wild. So you may have to follow up like once, but I usually get to all of them.
Cool. Cool. Margaret says she's leading the post-sales team and can see how this would help. Awesome. Yeah, I think also I'll send an email with the prompt that I put in there, the recording of this, you can share it around. But I think it would be really interesting. I would be interested to see how people are using this, Margaret, especially for a post-sales use case. I think there's a lot of overlap. Like you could definitely use this for post-sale meetings for sure. But I'd definitely be curious how people are setting this up too.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining. This was a lot of fun. And if people like it, we'll do it again with a different use case.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like I said, our audience is all HubSpot. So we're super down to show people more ways to automate the data with HubSpot. I will just say, if anyone is using HubSpot and you're in sales or customer success, definitely check out Arrow's sales rooms onboarding plans built for HubSpot, and look out for an email from me, hopefully later today.
Thanks so much, everyone. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone.